It's Thursday, the 19th of May, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Amyler.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, we have 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes, so let's rip into it. Story number 1, a big story in the last 24 hours. Wages aren't growing anywhere near inflation levels, which means that people's spending power is essentially going backwards. This is all according to figures released yesterday. And of course, that doesn't help the government's cause in the final few days of the election campaign.
No, it doesn't. Wages grew at a lower than expected 0.7% during the March quarter and 2.4% over the year, according to the Bureau of Statistics. Now, remember, inflation rose by 5.1%. If wages growth is about half the level of prices growth, then people can afford less. Simple as that. It's become a major issue on the campaign trail. The biggest rises last quarter came in real estate, telecommunications and media. There are still some sectors where wage rises are very low. Utility workers, retail workers, even some hospitality sectors. Now remember, the Reserve Bank expects wages to rise in coming quarters. It really hasn't come through yet. It's important that people get more money in their pay packets. That's what the Reserve Bank wants. Anecdotally, it's happening, but because of the enterprise bargaining system in Australia, it takes a while for it to feed through to the official numbers. Still, the Reserve Bank, politicians and definitely workers want to see some decent wage rises in coming months.
All right, story number 2, Sean, and we mentioned politics, but there is plenty going on in the campaign trail, including record numbers of early voters.
Yeah, a lot yesterday. So far, 3.21 million voters have cast their ballot with a couple of days to go. That's more than the total number last time around. Polls were out yesterday showing that the margin between the Labor Party and the Coalition on a two-party preferred basis has narrowed. We'll wait and see the final polls in the next couple of days on that. Both sides of politics agree that polls do narrow towards voting time. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. Anthony Albanese was at the National Press Club. He was talking up the credentials of the Labor Party. He was also blaming the cost of living crisis as demonstrated by those wage numbers yesterday on Scott Morrison. Scott Morrison, for his part, was saying that Anthony Albanese was kind of acting in front of himself. For his part, Scott Morrison continued to campaign. He was critical of Mr. Morrison, talking about what he might do if he became Prime Minister. 2 days to go, Michael, getting very exciting.
Yeah, it certainly is. Story number 3, Sean, one of the most well-known and most recognisable business figures in Australia would have to be Andrew Forrest. He is back running the Fortescue Metals Group's iron ore business for the first time since 2005.
Yeah, he started the business, so he knows it pretty well. It's part of a wide-ranging shake-up of top jobs at the mining giant and includes a new boss at Fortescue Future Industries, which is the green energy business. Now, former GE executive Mark Hutchison will take over that job. He will report to Andrew Forrest, as will the Fortescue CEO, Elizabeth Gaines. Now, Ms. Gaines is becoming a brand ambassador in August, so the day-to-day running of the iron ore business will go to Mr. Forrest then. Many of us know him better for his advocacy and philanthropic work, as well as being the country's second richest person. But now he'll have to step back from lobbying to help Fortescue's run its business and, of course, hit its net zero target by 2030, which is extremely aggressive.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, story number 4, Sean, BHP really wants to pretty much fast-track its massive Jansen potash project in Canada, seizing on the disruption to world fertilizer supplies, which has happened because of the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, about 40% of fertilizer comes out of Russia or Belarus, and obviously that supply has been cut significantly. Potash is what BHP has invested in big time the last couple of years. It spent $5.7 billion in northern Saskatchewan in Canada. And Mr. Henry thinks there's a real opportunity for them given the decrease in supply. The only problem, Michael, is that the weather in northern Saskatchewan in Canada is really bad. And so that really will determine whether or not they can get supplies out by 2026. But it's a big opportunity for BHP.
All right, story number 5, Sean, and how about this one? This is pretty remarkable. The world's biggest retailer, Walmart, yesterday cut its profit outlook, triggering an 11% fall in its share price. That is big.
It is, and as a result, the Walton family, who started Walmart and own a big chunk of shares, lost about $19 billion of their fortune, and that was in a couple of hours. Inflation is hitting the group's profit margins, and as a low-cost retailer, it's reticent to push up prices. Now, Sam Walton founded the company, and his 3 kids and some of their families now own about half the company. According to Bloomberg Billionaires Index, they're worth about $214 billion US. They're just a touch less today.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 19th of May, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough, then you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. And every Thursday, you can also find our lighter look at the world of business. It's called Safe Word by Fear and Greed, also on your podcast platform, wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.